What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, Pastor D. Welcome back to my channel. Hey, look, this is part one of a three-part of how God saved my life. Part one. Let's get into it. All right. So, okay, let me paint the picture. So, I can recall it was around, I want to say 2010. 2010, right? And at this point in my life, I'm living in Virginia. Just so a little background about me. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, born and raised, left Detroit in 2002, moved to New York, the Bronx, 161st Grand Concourse. Stayed in the Bronx for probably, I want to say it was 9 months. And then we moved to New Jersey for about 6 months. And then when we left New Jersey, we ended up moving to Pennsylvania for like 2 years. And in Pennsylvania, hold on, I got to give a shout out to my birds. Fly, Eagles, fly. We are headed to the Super Bowl. Let's get this W. But anyways, so while being in Pennsylvania for those 2 years, I actually fell in love, with the Eagles. Basically, it was my first time ever watching football. And it was the Super Bowl. And I think it was the game before that, if I'm not mistaken. It was a game before that. I think it was the playoff game. I don't think it was a Super Bowl yet, or maybe it was a Super Bowl, but I just remember Donovan McNabb throwing up in the middle of the field. But anyways, let me stick to the story. So anyways, so I fell in love with the Eagles there. That's how I became an Eagles fan, But anyways, fast forward from that, 2 years up, we leave, we go to Virginia. From Virginia, we stayed in Virginia from 2005 to about I want to say 2013 is when I moved here to Georgia. So in my time in Virginia, I was there from 10th grade to 12th. So I finished my high school there. My time in Virginia, is very interesting. And I call that a lot of the time where I got to find myself, where I got to know who I am. I got to figure out, my life in so many ways, but I didn't really get my life and understand my life until I got here to Georgia. So anyways, I'm going through, my ups and downs, growing up. At this time, I'm probably like 19 years old. Graduated high school 08. So 2 years later, I'm working for Urban Outfitters. I'm working in Tyson's Corner Mall in McLean, Virginia. And, naturally, when you work in a place, you and your coworkers, y'all begin to, build a bond, friendships and everything like that. And so the time that I was working at Urban at that time, man, I'm talking about, we did nothing but party, drink, smoke, just go out, have fun, do all that stuff, right? So there was a particular group of people that I hung out, like we all would try to hang out together, as coworkers. But there was a clique that we hung out with. It was me and my boys. So it was probably I want to say 4 or 5 of us that would hang tight or whatever. And we would get up, play ball, play video games, smoke, all of that stuff, right? And growing up, my dad, he was killed when he was on his 26th birthday. I was 2 months. He was killed. So I never really got to have a relationship or even get to know my dad, right? So I grew up with that void. I have 3 older siblings, and then I have 2 siblings that are right under me. So I'm literally the middle child. And then my little brother and sister, who were my cousins, but my mom adopted them. So that makes them my little brother and sister. So I got them, right? But I never had that bond with my siblings, the way that I really wanted. So for me growing up a lot, I dealt with a lot of insecurities. I dealt with a lot of, void feeling and trying to find a place where I belong and where I fit, right? And that's where friends came into play. I will find myself connecting with people to help fill these voids, of what I was lacking and what I was longing for and desiring for, to where if people showed me the attention, they showed me the time of day, if they connected with me, whatever, it's like I was vulnerable. I was gullible. I would just, give in and just be friends with them and just, you know what I'm saying, just go along with whatever it is that they was doing because I wanted to, fit in and everything like that. So I remember, like I said, there was a certain clique that we had, about 4 or 5 of us. And from the clique, there was a particular friend. And we used to hang out a lot or whatever like that. And I can remember there would be times where like I would go, over his crib. He had an older brother and a younger brother and all of that. So we would like hang out and stuff. And I remember we used to smoke a lot. We used to get up to like match blunts and all that stuff, or play like Madden. And so one day, me and him, we decided to chill after work and to smoke. So we chilling. He hit up his homegirl for us to cop the weed. She comes, she brings the weed. She also says, hey, I got some hash. You get what I'm saying? So she gives us, we bought like a dub, a 20 bag, of like basically a weed. We, got the hash, and, we go to the 7-Eleven that's literally on the other side of the fence, from his apartment complex. So we walk over there, we get a cigarillo or whatever, and we get some snacks and all that stuff like that. And man, like if you ever been to 7-Eleven or whatever gas station you may go to, they have those little taquito, whatever, however you say it. They have those roll things or whatever, and man, I used to love them joints, right? So I had got me a couple of those. So anyways, we end up walking back, and when we get back on the other side of the fence in his neighborhood, as we're walking towards his steps to go back up into their apartment, you get what I'm saying? This soccer mom minivan literally catches us right before we go. And so my homeboy at the time, his older brother was standing outside smoking a cigarette. And my homeboy ended up going to talk to the guy in the minivan because he was like asking us a question, calling us over, asking us a question, like if we knew where a particular building was at. And so what he was ended up telling my homeboy was that he was over there because he was looking for this guy that he was going to sell these Jordans to, but he couldn't. He was having trouble trying to find his building number. So they're talking for, I want to say, for probably like a good like 10, 15 minutes. And I'm over there standing with his brother, chopping it up with his brother or whatever. And my homie come to me after they talking, and he go, hey, D, hey, let me get the weed that we just bought. I'm going to sell it to him. And then I'm going to call my homegirl so she could bring us some more. So I'm like, all right, I ain't really thinking much of it or whatever. So I give him the weed or whatever. He goes, he ends up selling it to the guy or whatever like that. I don't even know how they got on the conversation about weed or whatever. But anyways, so he ends up selling it to the guy. And then I don't know what made me leave off the steps to go down, but I end up going down off the steps to go over there towards the minivan to see what was going on. And when I was walking over there, the guy, he like basically drove off, and he turned left and he went into a parking spot, and he was probably in that parking spot no more than like a minute or whatever. And so he bags out and he's on his way to come back. And I'm asking my homeboy, I'm like, hey, what's going on with him? And he's like, he just went to turn around or whatever. So soon as he turns around and he comes back where we were at, these other 2 cars come flying in, boom, boom, flying in with him. And I'm standing there eating my food or whatever, and I got my other stuff in my hand. Man, when I tell you, when those cars came, boom, boom, pulled up, these guys jumped out, these guns, get on the ground. And I'm just like, oh, it just felt like at that moment, everything went in slow motion. I'm just like, oh, snap. And I literally feel myself turn like this in slow motion. I don't know if I was about to run or what. All I just know is I just reacted. And I just said, oh, snap. As soon as I said like this, one of them came, boom, tackled me face first to the ground. Boom, I'm on the ground. He takes my arms, he put them behind my back, put me in handcuffs, and he helps me up. And I'm just like, dang, man. I'm like, yo, what the heck is going on, bro? What in the world is going on? And so they end up putting me, they grabbed my homeboy, they arrested him, and his brother just standing on the steps, and he like, yo, what's going on? Like, what's going on or whatever. And so they put us in separate cars, like 3 of them. So they put me in one, put him in the other one. And they pull away from right there they stayed inside his apartment complex, but they like, I don't know why they did, but they just pulled in separate directions and had us in separate cars. And you know how they do that to ask you questions or whatever like that. So anyways, I'm sitting in the back of the van in handcuffs and my phone going off. Now, remind you, before all of this, I want to say leading up to this, for probably like weeks, like God has been warning me. And my mom, she's a prophetess. She has a prophetic anointing where she can see past, present, and future, right? She's not a psychic or medium or nothing. And God kept telling her to warn me, like, hey, stop hanging around those friends. Stop hanging around those guys. Stop going over there. Stop going over there. Like that. So I'm not listening. Like I told you, I'm just in a place where I'm just trying to find somewhere to belong. And so I'm sitting in the back and I'm just reflecting. And I'm just like, dang. Next thing I know, the cop, he asking me questions. He asked me if I had anything else on me. I told him, I said, yeah, I got like hash on me. I had like 0.5 hash on me. And so he reached in my pocket. He got it, took my phone out and everything like that. And my phone is going off like text after text after text. And he's like, do you want me to read this to you or whatever like that? And I'm like, yeah. And I could just think in his mom, I know it's about to be my mom, like texting me or something, right? And so the cop started reading the text messages. And you'll never guess what the text messages said. Literally, it's my mom texting me. And my mom texting me, and the cop is reading it to me while I'm still cuffed. And he said, it's from your mom, and it says that God said this time it's a warning. The next time you're going to regret it. So I'm like, dang, or whatever, right? Put my head down. I'm just like, I can't believe it. So he proceeds to write my citation or whatever like that. And they give us the court date and all that, right? Now, when they let me out the car and uncuff me and everything like that, I don't go back to my homeboy at the time house. I call my mom first thing, and then I walk right to the bus stop that's like right there. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm just going home because I was kind of over it at that point, right? So I'm talking to my mom, and my mom, she telling me, the things that God was saying and how she been warning me, like that. And, I'm telling her about like the court date. I'm telling her everything that happened. And she ended up telling me, she's like, I'm literally sitting here watching TV. And the show, I think she was like watching Oprah or something or whatever. Like, I think she was watching Oprah. And she said, I'm literally sitting here watching Oprah, and God vanishes the show from off the TV and literally shows me in the spirit literally what's going on. And that's why I sent the text. So I'm talking to her or whatever like that. So anyways, fast forward, the court date is here, right? Well, leading up to that, like I stopped hanging around them. You get what I'm saying? When that happened for me, up until like the court date and all that stuff was figured out, because I was in my head. I didn't know if I was going to get locked up or anything. You get what I'm saying? I didn't know what was going to happen. It was my first time ever getting in trouble. So I stopped hanging out with them. I would obviously see them at work, but I had stopped hanging out because to me, it kind of felt fishy. You get what I'm saying? Because I can remember there was this one dude that was around when I had first started really hanging out with them or going over their house. I remember they had this other friend that was there, and I saw him a couple times, but I started to notice like that after those few times I saw him, I didn't see him no more. So I remember one time they were having a conversation or whatever, like him and his brother and like another friend that lived like a neighborhood or so over. they were talking about like, him or whatever like that. And I was like, I was like, yo, what did happen to homie? Like, I haven't seen him in a minute. And my homeboy at the time, he was saying, he was like, don't worry about it. He was like, don't worry about it, whatever like that. And so I was just like, I was like, all right, that's cool. But I paid attention to that. And I'm just like, yo, for me, that was kind of weird. So anyways, I had stopped hanging out with them during that time as I'm waiting for the court date to come. And so I'm anticipating it. And so I end up having to go to court. So I go to court, right? And when I go to court, I walk into the courtroom with my mom with me. I walk into the courtroom with my mom, and him and another mutual friend is sitting there. And when I go in, I guess they had already decided what they was going to do, with him. But I know for certain I heard the judge say that he had to do some time because he got hit with distribution because he sold to an undercover cop. And so when I walk in, it's like they had ended up walking out, and I'm sitting in there waiting for my turn. And so the judge finally calls me a little bit before I go up there. This public defender come talking to me, letting me know like, hey, it's probably going to be this, trying to basically running down what it's going to be. There's a program. If you would like to, go through the program, you can decide to do that now. And basically, I was like, yeah, I'll go through the program or whatever. So, okay, I did all of that, signed up for the program or whatever. And so the judge ended up calling me and letting me know like what the program was and what I had to do. So basically, I had a number of community service hours I had to do, and I did my community service. I can remember it. It was at a thrift store with old people, right? So I did that. I had to pay a court fee. I had to pay a fine. I had to take a drug class, and then I had to take an AA class. And then I was on probation for 6 months. So I understand that's a better deal than having to go to jail, right? So I'm, thinking like that's excessive because why am I in the AA? I don't drink. You get what I'm saying? I don't drink like that and all that stuff like that. At that time, I was just really a big smoker. I didn't really drink like that. But I'm like, man, like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? Like, why am I in all? I can understand the drug class, but like, why am I in all of this other stuff? Like, what's going on? And I literally, when I look back now, I thank God for that because those moments taught me a lot and they prepared me for so much because in those moments, even of me having to sit inside that AA class, it literally was teaching me to have compassion and mercy for people because hearing their stories, man, the things that people struggle with, that they were addicted to, how their life was this way. And then it literally was one decision they made and it detoured their life. Like that literally, when I look back, I'm like, man, like that really was valuable, for me, because if I hadn't gone through all of that, I really don't believe that. Not just because of that, but also the grace of God that I wouldn't be here today. You get what I'm saying? And so basically all of that was preparing me because it was showing me basically what my life could end up being like, if I keep going down that path and if I keep choosing that, you get what I'm saying? And so anyways, I end up going through that whole process. Like I said, I was on probation for 6 months. I had stopped smoking for the entire time because, I was afraid of that if I got piss tests and I didn't know what would happen. You get what I'm saying? Like it would obviously be a violation of parole, but like I stopped smoking, but I would still like hang out. You get what I'm saying? And go to the parties and all that stuff like that. I wouldn't necessarily hang out with that particular friend per se, but I would definitely still go to the parties and stuff. Like, yeah, they would be there and all that stuff, but I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't smoke. I cut it all out. So I started drinking. And it's like I couldn't do one thing, so I substituted the other thing. And it's because they was telling me, they was like, D, we know you're on probation, bro. Like the weed we get, don't do it. But they can't trace alcohol in your system or whatever like that. So I was like, you know what, whatever. And I just started drinking. You get what I'm saying? And even in that moment, I understood it later But in that moment, I didn't necessarily understand the impact of that AA class, because now I'm finding myself, drinking. You get what I'm saying? Drinking to the point where I'm getting drunk, where I've never done that before, and so I'm doing these things, and I'm still, standing in this realm of wanting to fit in, wanting to belong somewhere and everything like that. And so anyways, it was supposed to be a point where I had moved to New York. Moved to New York. Me and my sister, I was like 20, I want to say, no, I was 19 and, I was 19 going on 20, and my sister was, 18 going on 19. And so basically we were supposed to like move to New York, and she ended up moving, a little bit before me. And at the time I was supposed to go, all of this happened. So it basically halted me from, going to New York, at the time that I was supposed to. But anyways, I find myself, going through the whole 6 months of the probation and everything like that. And when I get done with it, you would have thought like that I really would have like taken that and like really learned something from it and everything like that. Even though in retrospect, like when I look back, there's a lot that I gained from it. But in that time, I just couldn't apply it to my life. At that time, I just couldn't really allow myself to value what that time was really offering me, because I constantly found myself in other situations. Like I said, this is only part one, and there's 2 other parts to it. And I definitely encourage you to tune in, when those drop. But I just didn't see the value in it. So, naturally, once everything blew over, I just went back to doing everything that I was still doing. You get what I'm saying? That one particular friend, I don't think he ever went to jail. He had ended up going, like fleeing Virginia and going back, I think it was to Jersey where he was from or whatever like that, but end up going back to Jersey or whatever like that. And I basically never heard from him no more. And, even to this day, never heard from him or whatever like that. But I say all that to say, man, in part one of this, that everything in your life happens for a reason. You get what I'm saying? God will literally warn you. God will literally, let us know who we are around. God will let us know when things aren't good for us and when people aren't good for us, and even when we aren't good for ourselves. And what we have to do is we have to learn how to start taking, heed to that. So I just want you to be encouraged with that. I'm going to end it here because, like I said, there's going to be two more that I do, based around how God saved my life. And at the end, it's going to all come together. But I appreciate y'all tapping in. I appreciate y'all taking the time to watch this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this with somebody that you feel may need it. Remember, again, God is always for your best. He's always out to help you. He's always out to do you good. You got to want to do yourself some good too. Live, learn, and keep progressing. And until next time, God bless.
Walk it like I talk it, yeah, I walk it. Flowers never grow without some water.